Hello, my name is Edward, and this is the Emperor's New Clothes. Have you heard the tale, dear ones, of the Emperor long ago? Were you there the day he put his dangly bits on show? Did you see the crown jewels jangle? Were his colours bold and strong? Well, I was there, and I swear the Emperor had nothing on. Yes, I was there that day, dear ones, I was there, so I knows. I was there the day we saw the Emperor's new clothes. I saw how fools were easily deceived, duped by the pomp and the show, and I heard it was a little child who brought the Emperor low, and the people all together laughed at power on that day long ago. "A tailor!" the Emperor cried. "A tailor! Bring me the finest tailor in the land. Do it now, I say. My procession day is very near at hand. I must parade amongst the people, and I must look my best. An emperor is nothing if he's not finely dressed." The Emperor was known to always be decked in fine array, the brightest gold, the softest silk, the finest colours on display. The Emperor was vain, and he didn't care about his duty. He didn't care for the people, only for his beauty. As he looked through his closet, he was heard to cry, "Oh, this gown is old, this one is worn, this one is boring, this one is torn. Oh dear, poor me," he cried into his vest. "No one will love me if I'm not well dressed." So the call went out across the town. A tailor was needed to make the Emperor's new gown. And so it was, some time later, that Mr. Stitch and Mrs. Seam came to the Emperor's palace. "At your service, dear Emperor, Stitch and Seam, the finest tailors in the land." Mr. Stitch bowed low, offering a bony hand. "The finest garments, the like your eyes have never seen," pronounced a wide smile full of yellow teeth, belonging to Mrs. Seam. "But for you, dear Emperor, we have something special, a wonder beyond belief. Enchanted thread, made of magic, from the far exotic East." Mr. Stitch grinned mischievously. "A magic thread to make magic clothes," Mrs. Seam crooned as the Emperor began to drool. "Clothes that have the power to reveal who is a fool." Mr. Stitch stood tall and raised his arms. "We shall make for you the finest gown that was ever made, but to the fool, to the incompetent, to the stupid person, to the nincompoop, there will appear no gown at all. For to the fool this fine piece of clothing will appear completely invisible." Mrs. Seam raised her voice. "And so, mighty Emperor, when you wear the gown, you will be able to tell who among your court and parliament is a nincompoop." "Oh," smiled the Emperor, "how very handy." And to the deal he quickly agreed. "Make me these clothes right away, and you shall have whatever you need." "Gold," said Stitch. "And coin," said Seam, "to cover our expenses." "Fine, fine," was the Emperor's reply. "Take what you will. A wise choice, your Excellency. We'll send you the bill." So the two tailors were given a room in the tall tower. There they kept their candles burning long into the night. Scissors snip-snapping, button tins tap-tapping, spinning wheel whirring, loom treadle turning. Day and night, the emperors kept up the noises of furious dressmaking, and the Emperor grew curious. He called to him the Grand Vizier. "Yes, great Emperor." The creepy Vizier snuck up to him, smiling a sickly sweet smile. "Vizier, go and see what the tailors are up to. It's taking them quite a long while." "Of course, sir," the snivelling adviser leered. But when he got to the tower, things were not as they appeared. "Good morning," said Stitch and Seam, both calling, eagerly working away. The Emperor has called me here to see what progress you've made. But the Grand Vizier stopped when he failed to see what he came to see. The scissors snip-snapped, but no fabric were they chopping. The button-tins tip-tapped, but no buttons were they knotting. The spinning wheel spun, but no thread was the bobbin taking. And the loom treadle turned, but no clothes were they making. Though stitch and seam were working furiously, the Vizier could see nothing there at all. Now, the Grand Vizier knew that these clothes were supposed to be magic, that they would appear invisible to whoever was a fool. "Do tell us what you think, my lord," Mr. Stitch invited. But, the Vizier thought to himself, agitated and excited, "I can't see anything. Am I a fool, a dupe? Oh, I cannot bear the thought that I am a nincompoop. No, I am so clever. I am so wise. I cannot let some clothing tell me that has all been lies." So he pretended to examine the imaginary cloth. "Remarkable!" he exclaimed. "Such fine artistry! The pattern is exquisite. The stitching is a mystery. Such beautiful garments I have never seen before. I must tell the Emperor," he cried, turning to the door. Stitch and Seam smiled, a wicked sort of grin. "And please tell his lordship more coin is needed if our work is to continue unimpeded." So the days did pass and the work did continue behind the tall tower door. Stitch and Seam called, "Bring us gold coin and gold thread." They wanted more and more, and again the Emperor grew curious at the work that was being completed. So he called for his first minister. "First minister, go and investigate, see if all that coin is needed." So the first minister made her way to the tower, a very important woman indeed. "I shall ensure these tailors are keeping to whatever they have agreed." She burst into the room to surprise them, thinking to catch them at rest, but she found Mr. Stitch working at fast pitch, while Mrs. Seam sews as steam rose from her vest. But as for a gown, she found nothing there at all. "Oh, I can't see the Emperor's new clothes. That must mean I'm a ninny. Oh, but I'm so important, I can't have people thinking I'm silly. I'm nothing if I'm not respected. I do such vital work. I can't have this gown reveal to the crown that I am really a Burke." So the first minister pretended to smile and say, "Oh, I see these robes are the finest that have ever been made. I shall inform the Emperor at once and see to it that you get paid." With that she turned from the tower, leaving Stitch and Seam snickering a devilish snicker. Eventually it was the morning of the procession day, and the crowds lined the streets to see the Emperor on display. But in the palace the Emperor was nervous, as he sat before Mr. Stitch and Mrs. Seam, who stood with hangers, all covered by a sheet. "My dear Emperor," Mr. Stitch raised a bony arm, "your clothes are complete." Mrs. Seam pulled away the cloth and the Emperor could finally see just empty space there in the air where his clothes were supposed to be. The Emperor stuttered, feeling very confused. "I see no clothes," he said to himself, quickly losing his cool. "Could it be they reveal to me that I am truly a fool?" "My word!" the Vizier quickly exclaimed. "What a remarkable gown! My lord, you will be adored as you parade through the town." "Oh, yes," the First Minister piped up too. A truly stunning collection. The details do amaze. The colours are ablaze. Why, they are truly perfection." And so all the court followed. They called out in shouts to agree. The Emperor's new clothes were the most beautiful things that they ever did see. Can it be true, the Emperor thought, everyone sees the clothes but me? But I am ruler of the kingdom. I am a wise and noble lord. They cannot think me a half-wit, an ass, a dunce. I must be respected. I must be adored. If it please your lordship, Mrs. Seam grinned a yellow grin, would you like to try them on, give them a test? Yes, the Emperor replied and began to get undressed. He slipped into the invisible robes and called for a mirror to get a good view. And all the court admired the Emperor, who stood before them entirely nude. "Oh yes," the Emperor said, all in the buff. "It is suddenly all so perfectly clear. These are the finest clothes I have ever seen," as he admired the royal rear. "Tailors, take your fee, and more gold besides. You have done your job quite well. I proclaim you master craftsman, a blessing on all the garments you sell." So Stitch and Seam gathered up their sack of gold, bidding their lord a good day, and they slipped from the palace out of the city to wander on and wind their wicked way. Hear ye, come one, come all to the streets, come ye and gather and bow before the lord of the land, his high, majestic Emperor. Out from the castle the Emperor came, atop a golden carriage, waving regally. Slowly his procession wound through the streets, with his bits and bobs out for all to see. Some of the people stood there in shock, unsure of what to suppose, but all the members of the court were heard to shout, "Marvel at the Emperor's new clothes!" So the Emperor was pleased, and began to relax, pleased that no one could see his thingy. So he waved and he dangled, he jiggled and he waved, but he hadn't been travelling for long when the voice of a little girl was heard above the noise. "The Emperor has nothing on!" Everyone stopped. The crowd fell silent, and the procession did suddenly freeze. "He's got nothing on!" the girl shouted again, and the Emperor noticed a cool breeze. "I'm naked," he thought, "bare-bottomed, quite nude. Oh, now it's so clear to me. Only a fool should ever trust words of blind flattery." But the Emperor was still proud and vain, you recall, and he didn't want to seem foolish or weak at all. So he held his pose, stuck up his nose, and continued to wave with his bits all exposed. Quietly at first, then growing louder as through the crowd it did pass, the people all tittered, then chuckled and guffawed. They loudly began to laugh. "Look at his thingy," they pointed and jeered. "His bottom's all wobbly," they chortled and cheered. The Emperor couldn't help it. He felt himself go all red from the tip of his toes to the top of his head. So through the town he came, nude as the day he was born, all red, waving stupidly as the people fell about in stitches. That day the Emperor had no power at all, despite all of his riches. It went down in history, and he never thereafter did he abuse his power. He became a noble and good leader, careful and honest to boot, because he knew the people would not take him too seriously now they had seen his birthday suit. So beware, you who are vain, you who are proud, too important to be humble or wrong. Let's see how wise and noble you feel when you have nothing on. And if the ruler is rude, if a bully is in charge, it is a wise person who knows that we're all just vulnerable people deep down. We're all the same beneath our clothes, yes. We're all just vulnerable people deep down. So don't be fooled by the Emperor's new clothes. The end.